I'd like to talk some about discovery. This week's newsletter is addressed to the wayward spouse and their need to give the details. It's to tell the blooming story so that we can get it out. But the stage of discovery, it's a complicated dance that involves two people, and it's every bit as much for the betrayed spouse as it is for the wayward spouse. And I want you to work at keeping this process productive. Discovery is only one of the stages for recovery. It's a task. If I had my way, couples would finish this discovery stage within 6 weeks to 2 months so that they can get on to the other task. And obviously there are things that the wayward spouse can do to really delay that process simply by not telling all the details, by trickling truth. Because ultimately they have to be able to trust you with the information if you're the betrayed spouse before you're going to be able to trust them. And you'll be able to get over what they've done long before you can get over the deceit. So if they'll do their part and answer your questions, that certainly helps in this discovery process. There are also things the betrayed spouse can do that delay the stage of discovery. And here are some tips I'd like to give to them to help facilitate the discovery stage. First, if you want to know the truth, honestly, you have to be safe enough for the truth to be given to you. Now, I know right now some of you are saying, time out, you're crazy, that's not right. They weren't safe when they did what they did, so why in the world should I have to be safe when they're telling me the information of all the unsafe things that ultimately they did? But delaying the discovery process, in my mind, is going to increase your pain far more than it will the pain for the wayward spouse. So there's really good reasons for you to sit there and try to figure out how to make this process safe. If you want the information, you ultimately have to have no deal breakers. Why in the world, if you're telling them, well, if you did this, I'm going to blow your head off, would another person be willing to give you the information? So in the long run, you need to be able to tell your mate, I want to know the truth. I want to know what happened. And I can tell you, I'm not going to make any decisions right now regarding that. I don't know whether or not I'll be able to wrap my mind around all of this, but at least honor me enough to give me the details and let me make my own decision as to what I'm going to do. And obviously, when the story comes out about betrayal, it is so incredibly traumatizing. I get that. But let your mate know, and use this analogy with them if you want, but I love this one. It's like, you don't want to go jumping off a boat in the middle of a hurricane, in the middle of a huge storm. You want to wait till that boat pulls into dock and you can decide whether or not this is a place that you can live with. And that'll take time, but say right now, I need to know what happened. So don't rob me of my choice by not giving me the information. The second thing you have to do to be safe enough is you have to agree to no marathoning. And again, I know that trauma plays a huge part in this, and it's a huge ask on my part, or even an assumption you can do this, but if you ask a question, you don't need to still be talking about that same question 6 hours later at 3 o'clock in the morning. You should be able to answer a question within 15 or 20 minutes. You don't need to keep doing staccato machine gun questioning because you get flooded. Peggy Vaughn says, and I'm going to put this off on her so that you won't kill me in this process, but she says to make it safe enough for your mate to talk to you, you may need to limit the emotion you show them to only about 25% of what you're actually feeling. Because if there's a part of you that's going totally crazy, it may not feel wise to them to continue talking. And again, you're not their responsibility. I get that. But I'll just tell you that shame will shut somebody down. And if you can sit there and not flood while they're talking, if you can have a rational conversation, if you can step back and spectator and just kind of say, okay, I want to know, keep telling me, and then You can go nuts later. I know it's not fair, but again, I will tell you, if you can't get through this discovery stage, it just delays getting on to the other stages where you begin to heal. In the discovery process, you absolutely have to curb your curiosity. If your mate is agreeing to answer your questions, if they'll do that and trust you with the truth, you have to take responsibility yourself for asking the right questions to facilitate your healing. You need to know what happened, how long it went on, how frequently it was happening, where. But I'll tell you, you don't need specific details. Discovery is not about positions or what was said or things like that. It's those things, anything that allows you to paint a picture in your head is not going to be helpful for you because it creates intrusive thoughts and trauma. But if you can get the overall picture of what occurred, if the two of you can talk about those details, where, when, frequency, protection, no protection, and we've got some great questions on the website you can ask. If you're able to limit the questions, curb that curiosity question and the specifics, you'll find it's really going to help you complete this discovery stage. I like this point that Cindy Bill makes in her book, Healing Your Marriage After Trust is Broken, and I just want to read a little bit of it. She says here, when questions hinder healing. Sometime during the first year after Chris's confession, I finally made the decision. Chris and I were discussing the past. I don't remember exactly what I asked him, but it had something to do with an encounter he had with a woman. He very gently took my hands and said, "Babe, I'll answer any question you ask for the rest of my life, but will my answer help you feel any better?" I looked into his eyes and I knew he was right. The answer wouldn't make me feel better. The only thing it would do is tell me the date and time that he made a fool of me. I know that when I ask questions, it comes from a place of fear in me. My heart starts beating faster, and I literally don't have the physical or mental strength to stop moving forward in my quest for answers. So I had to stop asking. And maybe you should too. Some details, what your spouse did with whom, or where they did it, or how often it happened, aren't going to help your heart feel any better or your mind any clearer. I understand asking some questions in the beginning because you're simply trying to grasp the entire situation and understand that is the goal of discovery. It's to be able to wrap your mind around it and to ultimately understand what happened. But after a while, it is time to let go of the questioning stage. It's easy for me to say just let it go, isn't it? But don't forget, I've been down that road, the one you're on now. Heck, I took up residence on it for a while. And I had my own little piece of real estate on that street. I know how hard it is to let go and stop asking questions. So here's what I did to walk myself through that. When my curiosity got the best of me, and I wanted to ask Chris something, I first asked myself two questions. Why do I need to know this? And will it help me move forward? More times than not, asking the question would only hurt me more, which isn't going to bring healing. Other times, the point of my question was just to find out when I'd been fooled, thus fueling a pride issue that I was battling. Ultimately, we must stop asking questions of our spouse because we trust in God to make all things new again. Regardless of whether your marriage has survived, you've got to free yourself from the false need to gain more information because it's not going to help you in your journey to freedom. And I don't know of a truer statement. It's not going to help you in your move forward to healing. Another tip that I would give you is stop trying to get them to get it. And I know they need to get it, But one of the things that happens in discovery, and one of the reasons I see people continually asking questions, it's like a prosecuting attorney trying to get the witness to finally admit something. And you're not going to be the one that's going to be able to get them to ultimately see it. You want to set yourself free, and to do that, you may have to stop trying to get them to get it and asking all those questions that are along that line. To stop taking up residence on that street of the questions, to get off that discovery street. You may have to accept that you're never going to know everything, but that you know enough. You've got the picture. They were unfaithful from here to here, perhaps with this many people. I mean, and hopefully they're giving you the truth. But all those details, none of those things will help you begin to heal. In fact, again, if it's comparison stuff, it's going to delay your ability to heal because of the intrusive thoughts. You're going to need to understand that you may only understand, or accept the fact that you may only understand 60 to 80% of all of this, that you may only have 60 to 80% of the detail. And that's got to be enough, because as long as you've got the picture, you know what you're dealing with. You need to decide that when you're ready to let go of this, you want to make a conscious decision to stop digging for details so that you can breathe and get your mind back. Because as long as you're focused on the past, as long as you're looking in the rearview mirror, you're not able to see what all is out the windshield in front of you. And that little view in the rearview mirror, it tortures you. And maybe there's a part of you that needs to be tortured. But when you can finally go, okay, I see what it is, I know what's happening, I know basically what happened, then you can get on to now, what am I going to do about it? And I'd suggest that you separate why it happened from what happened. Because I can decide to stop asking questions about something and stop digging for details around something and curb that curiosity, and still be curious as to what the meaning of all of this is. One of the things I believe is that what we need to begin to look at are more exploratory questions versus the detail questions. So come to the place where you quit asking those detail questions. You know what happened. You don't need that discovery. But you may spend months kind of talking about, what did it mean to you? You know, here's some great examples of exploratory questions. You know, what did the affair mean to you? What would you like me to know about the affair? Did you hope I'd find out without you telling me? Were you afraid that I'd find out, or did you assume that I never would? Would you have ended it if I hadn't found out? Did you tell anybody about your affair? Can you understand my hurt? Did you lie because you wanted to deceive me? Or were you trying to protect me with your lies? Exploratory questions are more about the meanings, motives, the dynamics of the secrecy, the revelation, than details of actually what happened. And I think once you can quit asking questions about what happened, you can get on to beginning to understand maybe some of the meanings and motives. And that can happen after that initial discovery. As Cindy spoke about, make a decision in this discovery process to let go of the need to ask questions about what happened. And when you can finally get to that place and make that decision, you can let go and start to move forward to healing.